Welcome, traveler. It's cold outside tonight. What's that? Where are you? Well, you're on the Lampeter, my friend. Or, what was once the Lampeter. It's seen better days. Used to be that you could travel from Orchard to Hollowcrest on these trails. But that was the old days, when the Elness was at its height, before the Foundation took it over. Now it's just people like me, trapped in tiny metal boxes at the side of a station, directing the trains going to and fro. Oh, you want to know how you got here? It's quite simple, really. You took a wrong turn in a train station, or a bus station, or you got on the wrong ski lift, or you stepped into an unfamiliar alley. There are so many different ways. Sooner or later, statistically, some version of yourself has to come here. You can go back, of course. Most do. But for some of us, the open sky is all there is left. So, we man the stations of the multiverse, repairing these lines in scorching heat and bitter cold, maintaining what there is left to maintain. That's what the Lampeter is. The desperate, the lonely, the cold, standing vigil over a forgotten and unloved set of back routes. Does that sound like your kind of life? The Lampeter is, or was, a vast interdimensional transport network. In the Prime Universe, it has an SCP designation of 7005, but there are so many more universes, and so many more foundations trying to record the totality of what it is. Its basic form is made up of a diverse series of mundane transport forms, which instead of taking the passenger to a location in their own universe, instead crosses multiversal lines, taking the vehicle and passenger to a different universe. The technology used to accomplish this is still unknown, and the Foundation has been unable to replicate it. Complementing this are a number of pocket universes used primarily for transportation hubs, maintenance offices, and other diverse institutions necessary for the line's management. SCP-7005 gives the following examples of entry points onto the network from our world. A small wooden door in the back of the Church of San Paluna Luca, which leads to an underground tram station that takes the traveler to a larger tram hub in Universe B723 Hospice. An abandoned and cordoned-off jetty in northern Ishikari, Hokkaido. Stepping onto it takes the traveler to a large seaport in timeline Q944, Mintukai. A lost and found office in a train station in Lima, Peru, which connects to a large train station in Universe H020, the Great Inca State, and a patch of sky above northern Mongolia. Aircraft passing through this area will be taken to an intra-universal airport, also known as SCP-7005-77A, which services at least 350 universes in what the network's station masters commonly call the Far Southwestern Corridor. The Lampeter was created 700 years ago by members of the Lampeter family of Universe Z999, Halogen. But it is now long past its prime. The Lampeter Non-Euclidean Shipping Company, LNES, a formal company created by the family in the 17th century to more efficiently manage its expanding network, began to decay and collapse in the late 19th century and eventually went bankrupt in 2021. By that point, their control over the lines had diminished severely, with many outlying regions under the control of local companies, states, and warlords. But the company's control over the central parts of its line remained necessary for any large-scale multiversal travel. John Lampeter was the last chairman of the board.
he went insane, burning the company's archives and possibly himself to death, after believing the Lampeter to be responsible for the emergence of a phenomenon known as the Neon God. But that is a story that has been told elsewhere. It was at this point when the Foundation stepped in, recognizing that its multiversal interests would collapse without some control over the network. The Foundation from our world renamed its universe A001 Prime and brought out what remained of the Elness. But the sheer scale, the confusion, the tangled non-Euclidean webs of the Lampeter have prevented them from taking anything like full control of the network, or even the stations once under the Elness. So in the present day, it's managed largely by lonely, strange, desperate people. Some want to either hide away where they can never be found, some romanticize the line, the long hours and the grinding conditions to keep the world managed. Either way, rust, collapse, and patchwork maintenance solutions are now the norm across the network. The Foundation's Department of Interdimensional Logistics has not been given the proper resources. Its few central employees are overworked and burnt out. As any decent seer or scryer could tell you, the Foundation's Department of Interdimensional Logistics will never establish complete control. Their interventions will keep the lines going, but more and more they'll just be the biggest fish in a diverse pond, never being given enough resources or manpower to match the Elness at its height. In a few centuries' time, the technology known as arc blinking, a kind of multiversal teleportation, will render the lines obsolete. The Foundation will withdraw entirely, and the Lampeter will decay in total neglect. Still, even then, a few lines will keep going. Patronized by poorer and more cautious worlds, the multiversal cargo train will be the most prominent of the remaining lines. A rare example of a Lampeter line traveling directly through the gaps between worlds. But even the drivers will have forgotten the name Lampeter, and the multiverse will forget the name and its history. But the essence of the Lampeter is only partially found in the place itself. It is also in the stories told about a conglomeration so vast, diverse, and uncontrolled that the mind can only partially grasp it, projecting onto it ideologies, narratives, hopes, and dreams it was never built for. It is, it has been, and it perhaps will be a place where the forgotten, desperate, and forlorn seek to escape their reality and build a new life, be it in some far-off world or on the lines themselves.